Okay guys, pay close attention. This is the town of Cleator. It has over 15 buildings, all rented out on a long-term lease. Good money opportunity. And here's the main attraction, a bar, a general store, and a post office. Illegal post office, but it's still there. It also includes a shuttle service, as we see by this fine condition pickup truck. And the entire town is up for sale, $1.25 million. So I know I've got a lot of rich Arabs that watch my channel, and I know you have money, so send me a check for $1.5 million. I'll become the mayor and the sheriff. You come on over, we'll have a nice party. And if you bring your Jeep, you get special parking. So send me some dough, US money, euros, reals, I don't care. I don't think the neighborhood watchdog will either. We're at our garage and test facility. Let's roll out the vehicle we're testing this week. And I ordered something European and fancy. No telling what they sent. Maybe it's a Rolls-Royce or Bentley. Well, it's not a Rolls or Bentley, but it's a Volvo. That's a pretty nice brand. Classy looking too. This is the top of the line XC90 SUV. Says so right here. And they shipped it all the way from South Carolina just for us. In addition to this Volvo, we also drove some other expensive European SUVs, like this 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLE AMG, as well as this 2020 Jaguar I-Pace electric vehicle. We'll have links to these videos at the end of this video. Just go to the end, click and watch. The base price of an XC90 is around $48,000 for the 250 horsepower engine. You move up to the T6 with a 316 horsepower engine. This is the T8, 400 horsepower. We'll talk about these figures a little bit later. No, there's no T7, I'm told. There are 3 trim levels of the T8. This is the Inscription that starts at $67,000. But you know you're not going to get off that cheap because they always tack on options to get into your wallet, as they've done here. Okay, option number 1, the headlight and camera package. LED headlights that swivel with the steering wheel and the camera that gives 360-degree view, among other locations, $24.50 extra. Combined with a 4-corner air suspension, $1,800 more. Heated rear seats and heated steering wheel, which is good if you live in Alaska, but here in the desert it's going to be 115 degrees today. I think we will not be demonstrating that. $645 for this metallic white paint, which does look pretty good, I will admit. There's a luxury package, a Harman Kardon, am I pronouncing it right? Stereo system with 14 speakers and other goodies. Over $6,000 for that package. But wait, there's more. Who wants a Harman Kardon? We can have a Bowers & Wilkins stereo for $3,200 more. There's some other options I could list, but it would make the video too long. Let's just get to the chase. $84,440. Top of the line. For this type of dough, you would think you'd get a nice high-performance V8, or at least a turbo V6, or at least maybe a base V6. Nope. Under this giant vehicle is a little tiny 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. That's right, 2.0 liter. But it cranks out 313 horsepower thanks to a supercharger and a turbocharger. That's right, you get both. Talk about complexity. This is what you would get if you ordered the non-hybrid T6. But wait, there's more again. This is the hybrid, which attaches an 87 horsepower electric motor on the rear wheels, making it an all-wheel drive system. Total horsepower, 400. Total torque output is a healthy 472 pounds-feet. The transmission is an 8-speed automatic, and fuel economy claimed is 27 mpg overall. That is running on the engine and turbo and superchargers alone. This is not your conventional hybrid. This is also a plug-in hybrid. Once you charge this up, you can run totally electric for around 14 miles. Then it switches over to the gasoline engines and hybrid system. So the way it works, if you get up in the morning, drive 7 miles to work, 7 miles back, you're not going to use any fuel. If you drive 14 miles to work, use up the battery, and drive 14 miles back on the gasoline engine, you're going to average around 50 to 60 miles to the gallon. For our testing purposes, I'm going to run this battery down, and all our testing is going to be on the gasoline engine only to see what the real world fuel economy is for longer trips. The charge cable is kept in the rear under the floorboard, but so do a lot of battery components, which means you do not get a spare tire. So if you're planning on going four-wheeling in this all-wheel drive SUV, you better put a spare tire back here or plan on walking if you get a flat. This isn't really intended for off-road, but it can be done so. And if you're paying attention, you notice we have third row seating, although at the moment the third row seats are folded. But from where I'm looking, we can fit 7 passengers in here pretty easy. Volvo has some of the nicest cabins in the industry. Of course, what they're charging, I would hope so. Let's jump in and take a look at the interior. Think back when you were a teenager and you got into a vehicle and someone was teaching you how to drive. They showed you all the controls you had to learn. Well, if you get in this car, you have to start all over again because just about everything is different. Number one, if you want to turn the vehicle on, usually there's a switch under the steering wheel or a button. Not here. The button is on the console. Pardon the glare, but it's sunny today. Not much I can do about that. Here's how you start the vehicle with this knob. Why they would put it here, I have no idea. Just takes up room, but that's the way it is. Number two, on other vehicles, if you want to set the mileage counter, odometer, there would usually be a button right here, or do it on the computer, but nope. Where did they put it? Here on the headlight stalk. Now, why would you put something like that here? It makes no sense, but now you know where it is, so it won't be a problem. Almost every function you're going to be doing is on this info screen. A lot of options here. Now, this is all the so-called safety equipment, the automatic steering control, the automatic braking. I don't want that junk. The only entity that should be controlling a vehicle is the driver, not the car, but you can disconnect all that stuff, and it stays disconnected. Thank you very much. I will say one thing for Volvo, they have the best camera systems on the planet. This is a cheap camera, you can't see the clarity, but this is extremely sharp, high quality. Regardless of the mode you put it in. Very, very nice. Great attention to detail. I don't know if you can tell on my cheap camera, but trust me. Someone did a good job on this one. I don't like this setup because I don't like info screens. I like simple knobs, but in all fairness, this is pretty simple to use once you get the hang of it. In your climate control, just press this, pops right up. Again, easy to use once you get used to it. Since this is a high-tech car, I was trying to figure out what type of shifter they use. I would expect a push-button system or rotary knob. Instead, we get the swizzle stick, similar to what you get on BMWs and Audis, but this is different in a very bad way. I'm going to explain why later on in the video. I do not like this. Does look good though. Clear glass. Pretty fancy looking. If you want to open the glove box, you have to know the secret button. Right there. Lots of room in here, especially if you take the owner's book out. The doors don't come all the way down, so there's a lot of dirt buildup on the bodywork. But I didn't seem to get much on my pants, so I'm not going to complain. And these are excellent seats. No, it's not leather. You buy the premium package, you get a very nice cloth. But either way, these are very nice seats and very comfortable. These are very fancy looking headlights. I'm trying to count the number of bulbs in here. 10 on the bottom and looks like 8 on top. I'm guessing 18 bulbs. Could be wrong. A lot of reflection going on in there. It's dark enough. I'll take these lights out, see what they do. Seem bright enough to me. And just like the quality of the rear view camera system was very sharp in the daytime, it's extremely sharp at night as well. Very nice system. Here's the bird's eye view. Here we have the low beams on the building 100 feet away. Very bright, good widespread. Go to high beam. Extremely bright. And yes, the headlights do swivel with the steering wheel. Far more aggressively than any other system I've used. These would be great on backcountry roads with tight curves. Here the headlights are on the building 300 feet away. These are extremely powerful lights. Good height, good spread. Fantastic. Low beam. Just barely reaches out. I can definitely say these are some of the nicest headlights I've ever used. I did count the bulbs. I counted 16 instead of 18 on each side, if that matters to you. I've noticed this vehicle has a lot more power at night when the temperature is cool than in the daytime when the temperature is hot. Definitely moves out. The first half of the video show and tell is over. Second half, we're going to take this out and do some driving. Get some fuel economy figures. And away we go. There's not too much to say about the power steering. It's electric and feels electric. Not much feel or feedback, but I don't think the typical driver will complain. A lot of European SUVs, especially from BMW, Mercedes, and Audi, have sporty handling characteristics. Not so much here. This is more of a luxury barge with lots of body lean, even with the four-wheel traction. Not for racing around corners, but again, I don't think the typical Volvo owner will care. As we do in all of my videos, we're going to take some mild speed humps around 20 miles per hour, see how the suspension performs on impact. And they want you to keep a lot of air in the tires for better fuel economy, so we will get some bumping and thumping, I think, even with this air suspension. So let's find out. Here comes bump number 1. Yeah, I definitely feel the tires thumping around, but the suspension is still comfortable enough. Here's number 2. Number 3. And the nasty one. Yeah, felt that one. And why is the heads-up display on? I turned that off. It seems to have turned itself back on. Don't need that. Another gadget to disconnect. Here we go. Heads-up display off. Stay off. I don't want you. Now let's talk about the swivel stick shifter I was complaining about earlier. Normally on a system like this, like BMW, Audi, you want to choose a gear like reverse, press forward, choose drive, once going back. Pretty simple. This is totally different. You want to put it in drive, you have to hit it twice. Neutral, drive. You want reverse, neutral, reverse. Two things to do instead of one, which makes no sense, is very confusing. Don't give this to Grandma to take to church on Sunday. She'll never figure it out. And those valets you get at the hotels will probably run into a tree. I don't understand the logic in this. But I guess you get used to it, and you're getting some exercise with your hand. Again, there's the clear glass shifter. Looks nice, though. What I don't understand is, why didn't they just go to a rotary knob? Or better yet, the push button like on the Acura. The push button is the way to go. Just push the button for the exact gear you want. You don't have to mess around with this stuff, but a lot of people don't like the push buttons, and it's going to take a while to get those on more vehicles, even though it's the best system of all, with the rotary knob being second. As you can see, it's getting warm outside. 103 degrees in the morning, will be around 110 in the afternoon. So it's hot outside. That means it can get very hot inside if you don't have a climate control system that works. The one in this Volvo works very well. It does cool you off pretty quick. That's the good news. The bad news, it's kind of noisy when you turn it up. Kind of like having your ears next to an F-14 jet fighter engine. Oh well, at least you know it's working good. With the non-hybrid T6 putting out 316 horsepower, and this hybrid electric T8 putting out 400 horsepower, you'd expect this to be a bit quicker. Yeah, not necessarily, because you got a lot of weight here. All these batteries and hybrid systems. We're looking at over 5,000 pounds on the spec sheet. So it's not that much quicker. The main advantage, though, is the torque, the 472 foot-pounds, that really gets you off the line. So it is slightly quicker, yes. Especially if you put it in the power mode, like I have here. Yes, definitely a lot of bottom-end pickup. If you're accelerating hard like that, you might want to hang onto the steering wheel, because I'm getting a lot of torque steer, which means the steering wheel wants to turn in one direction or the other instead of going in a straight line. Nothing serious, though. And even though this is a hybrid, expecting high fuel economy, you're not going to get it driving like this. But it is a lot of fun. Sounds good too. Nice brakes, by the way. The claimed combined fuel economy for the low horsepower T5 is 24 mpg. For the slightly more powerful T6, 23 mpg. Of course, you have to subtract about 10-15% in the real world to get the true figures. And for this T8, it's claimed at 27, but according to the computer, averaging around 23 mpg. Considering the heat we're dealing with, I'd say that's pretty decent. Obviously, if you plugged in the charger to get that free 14 miles of electric, these figures would be higher. But we weren't doing that. We were testing fuel economy for the engine hybrid system only. I'm going to reset the mileage computer and take a highway trip. See if we can get a higher figure. Aside from the thumping we get from these extra large wheels, the X90 is pretty quiet on the freeway. The wind noise is low, unusual considering the box shape. And once again, these seats are very comfortable for long journeys. I was getting 26 to the gallon on the freeway, but it dropped to 25.2 by the time I found a parking space. Keep in mind, hybrids don't operate as efficiently on the highway as they do in city driving. And also keep in mind they don't work very well in heat. It's 114 degrees outside. That's not helping. If you do a lot of heavy accelerating in the sport mode, the fans will kick in because there's a lot of heat being generated. Noisy but effective. This vehicle has 6 drive modes: constant all-wheel drive, pure eco drive, which is totally electric, hybrid everyday use, individual personal driving preferences, power sporty driving, and off-road rough road. Now, how exactly do these drive modes work? Well, if you're going to look it up in the owner's manual, don't waste your time. It's not in the book. I'll save you a lot of time looking. It ain't there. Instead, what you do is press the owner's manual here, and all the information will come up. Here we have the drive modes. Scroll up and down. Explains it all to you. The owner's manual on the info screen is easy to read. The owner's manual book is totally worthless in my book. This is easier. Surprising, because I'm not very good at doing this. But here's where all the useful information is on your screen. So I'm going to put this in the power sporty driving mode. This gives quicker throttle response, quicker transmission shifts. In the air suspension, pumps up for a stiffer ride and better cornering. So it says, we'll find out. In the power mode, this definitely handles better than it did in the non-power mode. Great for back road driving in tight corners. I can definitely feel the difference. No, it's not a Maserati or a Ferrari, but definitely more sporty. Sounds better too. Puts a little life in that 8-speed automatic. This isn't doing much for fuel economy though, which is the point of a hybrid for many people, but not me. I think I'm starting to like this vehicle a bit more now. You might have noticed there's a lot of dust on the info screen. There's nothing I can do about that. This is the desert, the wind's blowing outside. Even with the windows up, the dust is getting in and goes back on as fast as I can wipe it off. Can't do much about it, folks. In the meantime, if you put this in the off-road rough road mode, that's for going off the pavement, 2 things happen. Number 1, all-wheel drive engages for better traction, which helps when you're in sand like I am right now. And number 2, the air suspension raises the vehicle so you don't crunch on heavy rocks and destroy the oil pan. The disadvantage of taking this off-road, though, is there's no spare tires, I mentioned earlier, so you might want to get one. And I was going to get you some 4-wheel drive video out in the sand here, but unfortunately all the roads are closed this weekend because of the fires, and I just can't go any further. So no more off-roading video for us, I'm afraid. Oh well, it was worth a try. I'm not sure these tires would be good in the sand anyway. Wouldn't have to walk home. Lolo's going to be picking up this car next week. It'd be hard to explain why I don't have it. So what's my take on this Volvo after a week of driving? Well, on one hand, I will admit the first day I had it, I really wasn't impressed because I didn't like the learning curve required to figure out all the controls. Many I find rather odd. On the other hand, after a week of driving, I have everything memorized, and I find this very comfortable to drive at the moment, so those complaints are no longer an issue. In fact, when it comes down to the bottom line, the more I drive this, the more I like it. I suspect you will too. The question of the day is, if you're going to get the XC90, are you going to get the plug-in hybrid or the non-plug-in hybrid? Well, if you want the 14 miles of electric-only driving, and you don't mind plugging it in to get it, I say go right ahead. Frankly, this is just too much work for me. As for myself, I would be perfectly happy with this 4-cylinder engine and its turbocharger, supercharger system. More than enough power for me, and it costs less to buy as well. So for myself, I would probably choose one of the non-hybrid XC90 versions, T5 or T6, but you also have the choice of the T8. Choose the one that works best for you. And don't break those headlights, they look very expensive to fix. Here are some video links to other expensive SUVs we've driven. Just click and watch.